Welcome, beautiful people. I hope that you are well, but if you're unwell, please, for whatever reason, just make sure that you send your message. We always have the numbers ready. And when we promise to pray about your issues and to pray for you, we actually do, because I've had so many people send in their prayer requests. They're at their wits' end. They have lost hope. And one of the words that I woke up with today is the place that God is taking you. It's a place where you need more prayer, where you need to close the old doors and be able to walk into the new doors. You need a new mindset and you need new habits. And I know that that is one of the ways that we actually spring back into the hopeful moments of our lives. We say that this is not over until God says it's over. And that is why we keep having these conversations. And today we have a beautiful lady. She's called Miss Misumbi Sarah. She's a beautiful at heart, beautiful. I've just had a few moments with her, but I know that she's going to be a blessing. Okay, so invite your friends, call your friends. If this blesses you, share it with your friends. Let them learn one or two things together with us. Good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
You all right?
Yeah. Very.
Beautiful.
So much.
It's not the first time you're here. You
favored.
hear it everywhere. You're favored?
Favored, loved. I feel so nice being here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're here to give hope. And by the time you get to a place, for me, I call it a badge of honor. If you can give hope, that means you've been through the trenches, you've been beaten down, and you've been able to bounce back each time you've been beaten down. And so now here you are shouting on the mountaintop, telling people it's going to be all right. It doesn't look all right now, but it's going to be all right now. So I just want to know a little bit about you, who you are, where you come from, what kind of family.
Yes. So I'm the seventh born in a family of 11 children, of one mom and one dad. We come all the way from Bali towards, actually Bududa is my home district. And we left, my parents are there, but I left some time back. So I'm now in Kampala doing business. I'm a businesswoman by profession, but I'm more into ministry. So my church, like we shared earlier on, is Jesus Revealed Ministries. That is Pastor Henrich Tewa. Yes, he's my spiritual father. So I put ministry above business because my call is ministry. However, God has blessed me enough to be a blessing to people through business. So I use business as an avenue in ministry as well. Yes.
So how do you begin your business journey, coming from Bududa?
Yes.
You decide to come to Kampala. How does that begin?
First and foremost, when I was growing up, I told myself that, you know what, I don't want to wake up every morning to go and dig, because I hated digging so much. And our mom used to wake us every day at 6 to run.
To go and dig.
To go to the garden and dig. So I told myself, and I think I was praying and meditating, I said, God, this life is really, really hard for me. I can't handle this. Please help me. Let me go to school and make sure that I be past this. I cannot handle digging. Then another thing I asked him is that, please don't give me a man from this village, because I cannot manage climbing these mountains every other time. So I think God had my prayer. So when I went to school, I really, really was successful. Yeah, and I went up to the university. I have 2 degrees. Yeah. God has been faithful that I was able, among the few girls who started P1 from that, like
from Bududa,
that place, that village where you saw the landslides. I'm the only girl who was able to graduate.
Wow.
The rest, they got married at the age of 11, 15, and all that, yes. So it's been grace from the start.
And
then,
so the degrees you have are in?
So yeah, I have 2 degrees. One is a bachelor in microfinance, and the other is a degree in social work and social administration. Yes, from 2 different universities.
So you're not in that. You decided to go into business.
Exactly, because I looked at the future in those, and I didn't see the future there. Because I saw so many people relying on me when I was still young. Immediately I finished the university, there were so many people to support here and there, 20,000, 50, 100, 10,000. And I looked at myself. I said, will I handle these kinds of bills and, support and stuff? I said, no. Let me pursue business. Yes, straight from the university.
Who takes you into what you're doing right now? What do you do right now?
So I deal in hardware.
Okay.
Yes, this is the nature of our business. We import hardware, and then we sell to other hardwares around the country.
Okay.
So personally, I don't import, but I buy from these first-hand people who bring in large quantities, and then I buy from them, and then I also distribute to all over the country.
Oh,
yes.
So you're like a middleman. The other one imports, and then you distribute to the final sellers.
Yes, I'm a middleman, and sometimes they call it a muiribi, in our local. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you start there?
So after the university, first I go to Bugiri to work in a certain circle. But when I reached there, they were paying me 150,000.
Following your microfinance?
Oh, yes. So I looked at the 150. Honestly, it would not even pay the bills. So I'm like, what do I do? So my sister had a husband who was doing hardware. And he always wanted to work with me, but I was so much into the passion of, what I've studied and stuff. But this time round, I shared with her, and she's like, come, you can manage business. So I went over there, and I started from the least. I began as a front desk somebody, we are doing small things at the company. And when they saw that I was so good at business, they began to promote me. So I became their sales manager, and I managed that company for 7 years. And it was doing so well for the 7 years.
Don't answer this question, but how old are you? Because I'll not let you answer this question on air, but okay, I'm starting to condense and I'm calculating in my mind, and years are not fitting. So,
I'm not yet married, although I have a daughter who is 8 years old, so I might not answer that question.
No, please
now.
don't. Let me make my own math. I will tell you where I arrive.
Oh my God.
So you manage a business for 7 years.
Yes.
7 years. And then when do you think, okay, this is time for me to start on my own?
So what happens is this. As workers, we begin asking for a salary pay raise. And it takes place like 4 years. We need an increment, and it's not yet coming. But then I had gotten a baby, and the baby needed more resources. She needed a lot of support because at that time the father was not in position to provide. Yeah. So I'm like, I need more money to be able to support my child. So that's when I begin to think. Then I begin going into business entrepreneurship courses. I was part of the Orient Academy. That was the first academy that was held for business people. I went and attended that academy, and they equipped us with a lot of knowledge. So I began to now go more into personal, business and stuff. Yes. So I ran and registered my company even before I exited the company. I registered my company, which I use up to now. It's called Sarami Agencies Limited. I registered it, and then I began to look for what I can do. I sold over 20 things on that business. I've ever sold shoes. I've ever sold bags. I've ever sold the Forever Living products. I sold things just to make sure that
trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. And then in the process, I also got money and gave to people to do business for me, which always failed.
Okay.
I would get my 1 million and give someone, and they take it all and they don't return the money. So I said, I'm not going to handle this. It seems if I keep giving out money, I'm not going to save anything for myself. So I made up my mind that now I need to go, whether I have saved money or not. And for God's sake, I had not saved any money when I left my business. I didn't have any money.
When you left the job?
Yeah, the job, I didn't have any money at all.
Okay. So now you start by faith and all that, because what I want us to come to right now is the rough patches, because they happen to everyone, or the bad life, or the setbacks. Just when you think your life is moving on, when you think you've taken off, and all of a sudden something pulls you down. I want us to go through some of your roughest where you thought, if it wasn't for God, I would not actually go through this?
They make me quite emotional. I've gone through so much, a lot. But the first one was when I had to break up with the father of my child. I went into marriage thinking that it was going to work, but it didn't work. So that was the first blow. So I go into business, and now I'm single, and I have to survive as a single woman, supporting not only my child, but I was supporting over 5 people who were both direct and indirect dependents. So I began the business, and the business was struggling. But this is how I began the business. I didn't have the capital. So I talked to a friend of mine, and I'm like, you know what? For you already have a company. Can I come and we work together? He's like, come. I'm going to pay you 1 million, and then at the end of the month, I'll calculate the sales, and I'll give you 20% of the sales we've made. When I reach there, I work for 2 months, and there is no pay. I'm like, what? This is what it means. So I realized God had trained me into something that I already knew, and that was hardware. So I pray to God that, God, please guide me, show me what to do. So he tells me, go back to what you know. So I went back to the hardware, and I sought goodwill from the people that I had worked with. The first person I went to, I asked him, help me and you guarantee me a loan in the bank. Sign on my papers. He said, I'm not signing your papers because they told me you quit your job. I couldn't believe it. That was the first blow. I said, what? I supported this guy when I was working. I would give him goods of 100 million for free. How come he cannot sign papers of just 5 million shillings for me? But I said, it's okay. So I went back and prayed. God told me, go back. So I went and found a gentleman who had his shop, and he was about to move out. So I told him, Joseph, I need to take on that shop. He asked me, do you have money? I told him, no, I don't have money. But I have something. I have goodwill. I have customers whom I can refer to you, and they'll be coming to buy from you. So if you leave for me your shop, I'll direct all the people to your shop. So he told me, I have someone who has 5 million shillings. He wants to give me that money just to take on the shop, and then he pays his rent. I told him, no, I don't have any money, but I'm going to look for rent of 2 months, and I pay you. At that time, the rent was 500,000 shillings each. So I looked for 1 million shillings, and I gave it to him. So I entered the shop, and there is nothing. So I went back to God, and I'm like, God, what do I do? He tells me, you have goodwill. Go and move. And then I look for people, and there's someone who gave me goods of 7 million shillings. I put them in the shop, and I began. Worked like a horse. In the 3rd month, someone came and took goods of 10 million from me and never came back.
Never paid the money?
Yeah. That was another blow now, from the other and then to this. But I said, I'm not giving up. Because each time something would happen, I would go back and pray and say, God, this has happened. What do I do? So I'm there, and it's taken me years. I kept on surviving there, like for 1 year, 2 years, nothing was happening. So I was down, really, really down. And then the Lord brings me a man of God who you know now, Pastor Henry. And I begin to pray with him. And then that is when he prophesied on me and said, I see business on you, and I see you excelling. So at that time, I couldn't believe that God would pick me from where I was and bring me back up. And then I'm like, okay. I began to have hope. I had it, but then it had reduced. So the hope came back. So guess what? I'm in my shop, and an Indian comes, and he tells me, I see you. You're a good person. People have told me you've been good in this market. I tell him yes. He tells me, I'm going to give you goods of 50 million shillings. You keep working, and then you pay me. I said, thank you, Jesus. He brought the goods and put them in the shop. So that was the beginning of my rising. Then COVID came. When COVID came, I had given out goods to some customers of mine in the up country, goods of over 70 million shillings. Remember, the capital is growing, and I'm borrowing from here and there and making things work. So COVID comes, and it blows me down. The people I gave the stock could not return the money. I go back to zero. And yet I have money for Indians. Now they were more than one Indian. There were about 3 Indians. So I'm like, wow. I go back to zero. So I'm like, do these things of God work? They prophesied I would be rich, I would have money. But now I'm back to zero. So I begin praying, I begin seeking God, I begin doing everything, fasting and all that. And then I went to completely zero. A shop which had over 100 million plus came to 5 million shillings because I was trying to pay people their money. But now I was back to zero. I was paying a shop of 1.5. I had 3 workers whom I was paying salaries. I was back to zero completely. And I had rents to pay and people to support. So with 5 million shillings, that was already an expense of 1 month. Literally, there was no way out. And at that time, people knew I was now down. No one could come back and pick me up again. Even the Indians could not risk to give me the money. I prayed to God. I kept on praying. And then it's good to have mentors and fathers who pray for you. My father kept praying for me, my spiritual father. And he told me, Sarah, I see you getting back into business. And I told him I'm completely off. One time I called him, I told him, Pastor, I'm closing the shop tomorrow because I see no way out. He told me, don't close that shop. So because the Bible says that we need to be obedient to our leaders, the leaders in the faith, I said, let me believe his word. Woman of God, within 1 month, the same Indian who was demanding me about 60 million shillings came back to me and said, Sarah, I want to revamp your business. I'm going to give you back stock of 70 million shillings. Make sure you pay back the previous money. See how God does this. From nothing completely, where no one was seeing any value in me, where everybody had lost hope, where everyone was looking at me as nothing. I had cried tears and my pillow was full of tears and I had nowhere to turn again. I looked left, right, to my relatives, to friends, to business partners. Honestly, no one was there for me. Nobody could support me. I don't even know how God picked up that guy again and gave him the heart with 60 million debt to come back and give me another 70 million. I don't know how it happened. It was just all of a sudden. However, what I remember is that during my time of tears, the Lord spoke to me. He came in the night and said, Sarah, I see you in a ditch, and I'm going to take you out of this ditch. I woke up with faith. I said I heard my God say he's going to take me back. So I went back and began to pursuing things which are not even working out. Everything was just nothing. You go to work and come back home with nothing. Till today, I wonder how God took me back. And I don't see how he took me back. But I came back into the business. Yes.
Okay. So he comes back and gives you the goods of 70 millions.
Yes.
And then you start climbing again.
Yes. But again, I fall at another time. The story of life, I realized...
It's a zigzag story.
It's not really easy. So another time, I went into another ditch. Again, I pay the money. And remember, you're in debt, so you've paid and now you've come back to zero. You're trying to pay him so you clear his balance. Now it means you remain with nothing again. So I'm there. And then the Lord brings another Indian who gives me another goods of again another value. So I use the money to pay the 2 of them. And then as I'm paying them again, I come back to zero again. My life has been up and down, up and down. Now, this time round, God brings me a Nigerian who invests some money into my business. He's not a man that he wants to sleep with me. No. But it's been God. He keeps positioning people at different points. As long as you're willing and you're submissive and you're ready to hear from him and to do his work, he will always position people for you. Whenever you fall, you'll always have people to back you up, to pick you up. And the people that come to you are the ones that are least expected. They are not these friends of yours who eat your money every day. As much as I remember, none of the people who ate my money was there when I was falling in all these things. Each
time.
Yeah, each time I fall, they're never there. Actually, they're always very distant. And I ask myself, do I have a friend? And I don't have a friend, really. I'm not saying they're not there, no. But at that time, it's like God wants to prove himself that he's the superior person. He's the superior God. You cannot depend on people, but rather you have to depend on him. Because he's the one who will pick you up, not them. If they're to pick you up, then he will have to speak to them to come and pick you up. He will give them instructions that I've seen someone there who is going through this. Can you go and pick them up? But if he doesn't speak to them, I'm telling you, they'll never come, even if they have money. Me, I have people who have money around me, lots of money. And when I'm okay, they're always taking me to Serena.
When you're okay?
Yes.
But when things go bad?
I don't see them.
They distance themselves.
And I don't know why.
They also want to work with winners. So if you're not winning, you're not part of their clique.
I'm telling you. It's really, really. And I don't know if I can share this as well, but there was something that God did to me that the world didn't understand, but only I could understand. There was a saga that was all over the news. There was a fire outbreak in Gagawala Shauri Yako. That was, I think, around December last year. So that day, I had a ministry to do at church. I had organized a women's meeting, and they'd come in big numbers. It was an overnight. So I was meant to minister to them. So they called me at 5 p.m. that, Sarah, Gagawala Shauri Yako is on fire. And the fire is too much. We don't think your shop is going to survive. So they tell me the news when I'm busy, when I'm ministering to people. Then I asked God, should I go? God told me, stay. And then in the midst of that, everyone kept watching me and seeing what my move was going to be. The Spirit of God told me, stay. But then the Spirit of God told me, just call your spiritual father and speak to him. Tell him this is happening. So I spoke to him, and then he told me it is well. For God's sake, how I got the confidence to stay for the whole night and ministered in power, I don't know. I was able to minister the whole night, and I was at peace. And then I went home and slept up to 10. I woke up. The workers had run to the shop to go and see what happened. However, the people who Muzei, who is my spiritual father, sent there to go and see, they called him and told him, Muzei, we don't see hope. Because as we see the fires, actually they've already reached her door and they've passed by her door. We see, and the fire is too much. I don't think her shop has survived. But the next day, this is the story that I had, that when the fires came and they reached my door, that the fires were diverted and they went to other places and they passed my shop. And the peoples around me, none of them was touched. And they went back and went and burnt other places. And we were safe. Nothing happened to our stock.
Wow.
Yes. That
All
was,
the stock was in there and nothing was burnt.
Yes. And there were these sprays that you know can cause fire.
Yeah.
These sprays, these colors that you see,
Very
they
flammable.
have very much. And they were on top. And there were very many cartons. And how they survived the fire, I don't know. And I sold them up to, I still have a few pieces left up to now. They are still working and they are okay. Yes.
Wow.
I saw the power of God.
And what were people around saying? Because everyone will have something to say. Like, seriously, because they will either call you a witch doctor, they will either call you, they will have to call you something.
You've already mentioned it. The people in my place keep wondering. They say, what God do you serve? One time someone came and asked me, I want you to take me to that witch doctor whom you always go to. And I told her, I will take you there. Then I told her, I'll call you on Sunday and we go. Guess what? I took her to church.
And what did she say?
She was shocked about the witch doctor that we have, who is God. And she, of course, she gave her life to Christ. And I thank God because of those stories, I'm seeing people being led to Christ. There are those who thought that there are men supporting me. You know, as a young girl, you're not married.
Anyone will be like, but Aniam take him sente. Yeah? Who is?
And they really want to know up to now. So when they watch this, they're going to be surprised because they keep questioning the people around me. They keep going to my workers. What does she do? They really ask a lot of questions behind
Who is
my
her
back.
man? There is always there has to be a man story somewhere.
So whoever comes to the shop who is a gentleman is actually my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, they keep
labeling. That's the investor.
So they're like, I think she has so many investors because generally I'm a person of men, of people, of women and men. I'm a woman of God. So many people keep visiting me. So any nice-looking gentleman is actually my husband.
Investor.
Or investor.
So you have many husbands.
Too many.
According to them.
No wonder they're playing my, you know.
And no wonder you're making it.
You see? So I've seen God from the start of my journey. And I'm beginning to think that God calls people when they're young. But it's up to you to realize that God has called you. So when God calls you, there are so many fires that you go through. I've narrated just a few because there are things that we don't bring to the public. There are the fires you go through and you wouldn't want the public to go through. I mean, to see it, because these things are known to you. They're discreet. That if you share them, there are people who are going to be affected by them. I'm a mother, so there are things that I wouldn't want to share that would affect my, you know, my child. But I've gone through fires that made me feel like I cannot survive this day. One time I wrote a poem to my daughter, and nobody knew. I wrote to her and said, my daughter, in case you ever grow up, just know that your mother loved you. But life was too hard that she wouldn't handle life. It was too much for her. She wouldn't handle it. Even as I write this letter to you, I'm not really sure that I'll survive up to tomorrow. It was so sad for me that as I wrote that letter, I was in too much tears. I didn't know that I would survive up to the next day. Because something that I cannot share openly here now that affected me, and I thought would affect the life of my daughter. And to some level, I thought that my daughter too would die because I didn't know if I died, if she would survive. That is something that I keep that maybe I'll share in future. But I saw my life coming to an end. I saw my life coming to an end, and people kept dreaming. They called me and said, Sarah, we saw you in an accident and we saw you dying. Not one, not two, not three. Many people, they were calling me and saying, Sarah, we saw you in an accident and you were dying. And I felt like life was gone. Because I cannot share that for the sake of my daughter, yes, I really protect her. But in the future, maybe God will tell me and will lead me to share about it.
But I would still, even when we can't talk about it, I would still want to know, like, what was going on in your mind in that darkest moment?
So at that time, because something happened and my life was at risk, I thought I was going to lose my life. And for the sake of, like I said, of protecting my daughter, if I would mention more about it, it would cause, you know. My life was at stake. There were life threats. And wherever I walked, I thought I was going to die.
Like that was the end.
Yes. I would enter my house and I'm literally hiding, even from my own house. I'm not sure if I'm safe. And I would close up the doors, but I would feel like the doors are open. And I would still feel like the windows are also open. That was so much fear. And at that time, I was with my daughter. So we lived in so much fear. And since then, I have people in my house, over 6. I never sleep alone in my house.
Just to make sure that there are enough.
Yeah, to have people around and be happy and live life. And then I began, because of those experiences, I began to raise people who have gone through hell. Today I came with a girl. She's right outside there. I'm not with her here. I know that maybe she may not want me to share this story right now, but she's one of a kind that she has also gone through hell. From her stage, from childhood, she was denied. She had,
by the parent?
Yes, she had a parent. She had a mother. The father denied her. The mother also denied her. So I came into her life at the time when she had nobody and she was going through hell. I found her when she was going sane. She couldn't think or reason. She was at the pit of hell. Till now, okay, at least now there's a big improvement.
She's better.
But she used to have nightmares and, you know, she would feel like maybe I'm going to die. She used to see things coming to take her because of the fears that she experienced when she was young. So because of that experience, which I've not yet shared openly.
Yes. You also felt the need to help her.
Exactly. The Lord began to lead me into that direction, that there are people who are dying every day. And if you
who are going through what you've gone through.
Exactly. Even much more. When I came into the life of this girl, I realized my life was okay. Because I realized for me, God was picking me up. Every time I fall, God was picking me up so fast, so quick. But this girl, it took her years, that up to now, she's still recovering. She's still on her life journey of recovery. And she's not alone. There are so many that have gone through more hell than her. But every other time I remember my stories of how God has picked me up from zero. From actually zero, not 5 million, because the time I told you 5 million shillings, I had a debt. Remember, there was 5 million in the shop, but I had debt of over 50 millions that I was still servicing. So if God could pick me from the negatives and still bring me up and give me a name, and there are things I cannot share openly. Yes, because as I speak now, I'm manufacturing certain things which I cannot speak again openly for the sake of preventing.
Still in the same business or different business?
Yeah, in the same business, but I do production of some sort, which is still at the lower levels. But ask me again how the production comes about. The production again comes at the levels when things have gone bad. Remember, I've been on a survival mode of trying to service debt, trying to support so many people. My expenditure is about 10 million shillings per month. These are things we don't speak to the public. But in my struggles, my monthly expenditure is around 10 million shillings because of the things I've shared with you. So, sustaining such a budget per month is not easy. It is not easy at all. So it comes to a point when I'm again in negatives and I'm asking God, now what next? Now what next? Because again, I don't see myself coming out of this. And I told him, God, this is a mess and I've created it. It's a mess and I accept I've created it. But I know that you're a merciful God. You can still take me out of this. See how again the Lord brings in something and he gives me an idea. On 31st of the other year, I was in church praying. And then I had the Lord telling me, I've visited you. I'm going to do something for you this year. So I hold on to the faith. Faith has been my story. Hope has been my story. Not giving up has been my story. And listening from God has been my story from the start. So I say, okay, thank you, Jesus. So I go, and then I do what I'm supposed to do as a Christian. We all know when a message comes to you, you know what to do. Either there'll be an instruction to give, to sacrifice, to do something, or to preach the gospel. There are things you can do that show that you're grateful to God. So I go and do my things as usual. And then in that period, the Lord brought back, in the vision that he showed me, there were envelopes of the tithes that I had been giving in the house of God. The Lord showed me those tithes and said, Sarah, you've been faithful. I'm bringing this back to you. I'm like, what? So, because of the closeness I have with God, I wake up when I'm excited. I'm like, he's done it. He's done it. So, I begin to, now the hope comes back. So, in the month of June, July, in the month of June, somebody comes to me and says, Sarah, you've been selling this product for years. I know that I can teach you how to make this product, but I need 20 million shillings for me to be able to sell to you this idea. And he's talking to somebody who has no money at that time again. I'm like, wow, what do I do now this time? So I go back to the one who always gives me solutions, and that is God. So he leads me. And then I look here and there, and I'm able to raise the money. So this person comes, and then he tells me, pick up a team, and let me train your team to do this thing. So I pick up the team, and then he comes and trains them, and I learn. I'm the first person to learn the idea and everything. Because like workers will come and go.
Yeah.
You cannot trust them. So when he brought the first worker to work for me, that worker was picking 3 million shillings from me per month.
Okay. Without your knowledge?
No, like she told me, I'm charging you this money.
Oh, to be there to do this for you.
Yes, per item I release, I need this amount. And I asked God, really? Is this sustainable? God told me, do it. So I went into another loss of losing to the people who were teaching me.
You're learning, but you're losing.
Exactly. I lost a lot of money in that process. But then I was getting so much ideas. So when the time for training had ended and I made the products and the products were selling, I stopped this person from working with me. Of course, after seeking God. To me, I needed this person because she was so knowledgeable. But when I sought God, God told me, no, teach your people. Let her go.
How to do this.
Yes. So I taught the people how to do it. And then I let her go. So I brought on board people that I was paying less money to help
to be able
me.
to do the same work.
Exactly. And up to now, the
You're
Lord
still
has
working.
been faithful, yes. And now, that is another plan that the Lord brought to pick me up from the shelves. And this is the plan that I see that God has laid for me. Because if in Uganda, if you begin to manufacture, then you're now at another level. Yes. You're no longer muyiribi too much. Like I've reduced the too much querying now. I'm using the term.
Now you're a business person, a real business person.
I now feel like I'm an entrepreneur. But before then I was real.
So I also want to know, because there's so many people that watching and asking themselves, how do you survive in a male-dominated industry?
It's been tough. I want to share this. Very tough. Because at one time I was very, very desperate that I had to go to somebody who I thought would help me. And the thing that was on the table was, if you do this with me, then I'm going to be able to support your business. Then I asked myself, Sarah, really? You have so many people looking at you, so many men and women looking up to you. How are you going to just do this for one day? And then you give in yourself just for just. And yet you've been there and God has been showing you that he can always lift you up. So I told myself, no, I'm not going to do this. And it's not one person. Many times I've gone to these places to ask for help, and the men have always wanted to use me because they say you're a single woman who is
available.
They have this thing that who is satisfying you. They have that question always. Who is? Because they believe that a woman can't be there when she's not sexually, active and satisfied. So that is always their question, and I want to tell you the truth that each time I'm in shambles, the first thing the devil arranges are the men.
The men to be able to, to provide.
They
do this,
take you
do
to
that.
Serena, and they're offering you lunch and advice, and then they're like, but Sarah, we can do this. Just, no one will know, My God, the worlds are listening. So many times I've fallen, and the first offer the devil brings are the men, unfortunately, and I don't know why. But again, from the men, God has brought men who have supported me without having to ask for it. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. So this is my lesson, that the devil will bring something that looks like
temporary. It looks like it's the real deal.
And it's always real.
And it sounds easy.
Yes, and these people promise bigger than what God has always given you. So it's not been easy. So when I bought my car, that was the shit that now happened. Everyone was like, which man bought the car? Which man? Tell us, which man? Who is that guy in your life?
Which car was that?
It's a Wish 2000, no, it's a Wish 2004, something like that. Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not so good at things of cars. Because my life has been this humble life. I'm really humble. Even at the time when I was able to buy those cars, I didn't buy them until the time God told me, now you deserve a car. Because you're no longer a mwiribi. You're now an entrepreneur. How will you go to business meetings when you have no car? You're a woman of God. You're going to pulpits. How will you preach when you have no car? The people need to see the God that you serve. So that's the time that I said, now, this is the right time for me to have a car. Otherwise, I had people coming to me that, Sarah, you can afford a car. You have so much on your account. You can afford a car. But I knew that for me, I was not able to afford a car at that time. Yes, I could have 100 millions on my account, 50 millions, but that money was not mine. It belonged to some people, to the banks, to the people, and, you know.
Business.
Yes. And of course, the men will always say, Sarah, if you give me, I have many cars. I'll give you. And at that time, when they were offering me cars, there were many girls that were driving nice cars. And
that you'd also feel like, you know,
I was better than them. But I had no capacity to own a car. And I had more money on my account.
And yet you were better than them. But
Yes.
they were getting these things free of charge.
Exactly. And in real life, they were looking like they're living a better life. Because they would eat food at Serena every day. Me, I wasn't eating food at Serena every day. They would go to any hotel of their choice any day they want. They're driving these nice cars, not like mine, which I'm driving, not the Wish. Even buying the Wish, I had to consult God. Which car do I need to buy? Because I needed a car that would be sustainable. I wasn't buying a car for anybody.
Not for show off.
I needed a family car, something that can take up many people. You're a woman of God. You have a mission somewhere. You need to carry about 7 people in your car, not you going alone. So even buying the car, I was driven by the purpose for which
the car would serve.
Exactly. I'm like, God, you've told me to do this now. What do I need to do? Buy this, this, and that. Not because you've seen your friends driving Prados and you know
then
those
you want
nice
to buy
cars.
that.
No, it wasn't driven by that. And up to now, people are asking me, so which guy bought the car?
Because they know many. They have seen many.
You know? So, yeah, basically, about that, about the car, that is the story of the car. And up to now, I don't boast about it. And because to me, that's not the car I deserve. No. I know that I deserve a better car. But remember, you are moving from somewhere and you're heading somewhere. And God is lifting you up.
From step to step, glory to glory.
Exactly. You're not going to waste that which He has put into your hands. You need something that is sustainable both for you and for your business and for the people that are depending on you. Because the people depending on us, there are really many. Just know that in Uganda, if you're able to earn above 1 million shillings, the people on that 1 million shillings are really many, more than 10. So at my capacity, there are really many. So if you keep wasting the little that God has put into your hands, then how will He...
You remain with nothing. There is no growth.
No. And he may choose not to lift you up again. Because then He's blessing you and you're busy wasting that which He has blessed you with. And that is something I think people can learn from, because each time the Lord comes to me, before He blesses me, He says, Sarah, I'm going to bless you. But are you going to be trusted with what I'm going to bless you? So, and that's the thing that keeps me serving God. Because I know that it's only Him who will always take me up. When things are done, and nothing is really happening, then that is the time God is going to lift you up. So during COVID, when things were really tough, and before I went through that saga of giving out goods, and then I lost and came back to zero. So there was a very good offer for me to travel and go to the US. And this offer was a marriage offer. So I'm a woman of God, and the person coming to me is not born again. But he's saying, I have a lot of money. He sent me his monthly income. Really, you would not suffer as a woman of God. You would be comfortable. A lot of money. So he offers me, he's like, Sarah, come to the US. I'm going to take care of you. But I have to marry you because, of course, you can't just come like that. I take you as who? You come, but you're going to be my wife. And I have enough money to take care of you because it's really enough. He sent me the papers and everything. So in the process of me wanting to, things, I'm really burnt down. I mean, in the corners. And I begin to ask God, should I? Should I? And God is like, no. I share with a few people, and people are like, Sarah, you're a fool.
You should go.
Go and get a visa. The guy has everything. What is keeping you here? But then I go back and say, God tells me, no. You have a lot to do. Don't go yet. So that was the time I realized that God has control over my life and not a man. Men will always come and they will want to
They will have the offers.
Yes. And they want to take the glory that belongs to God. Because someone will offer you, you'll see $1 billion on their statement, and you'll think $1 billion is too much for God. Yet, it's God that makes the billions. Yes. God will pick you from the zero, and he'll entrust you with billions. Because he has first tested you.
With the little.
Exactly. So that was, I think, what made me to stand in that time. I asked myself, how much can God give me? How much am I giving myself for? Because this was not a godly marriage. Yeah, it was not. So I had to do an opportunity cost between God and money and fame. Yeah, so I kept in the zeros for the sake of ministry. And yeah, for the image of God.
And God still came through for you.
He really came through, and I'm not complaining.
Wow. I want us to share some of the lessons that you have learned, because there's so many people who are in business or even just generally in life. They're going through some of these places where, you pray that God picks you up, and sometimes he'll take time.
Yes.
He will not come immediately. Sometimes our ways are not his ways.
Yes.
Our thoughts are not his thoughts. What kind of encouragement, what kind of lessons would you share with them? Some of the things that you learned in those worst of the moments?
My first place, as you're speaking, that God has taken me to is Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me in the... So even though you're going through that valley of the shadow of death, he will come and pick you up. It doesn't matter how deep the place is. He will pick you up. You people who are listening, I know you may not feel the intensity of the ditch that I was in, or of the ditches that I've been through. To me, it was hell, because I never saw myself coming up from that ditch. Those many times that these things have happened to me. But I have seen this God of Psalms 23. I've seen him come and give me a hand and take me up there. But what has kept me there is the patience. And then the listening. Are you able to listen to the voice of God? Because I want to tell you, like it is written in the book of Joel 2:28, that in the last days I'll pour out my flesh. I'll pour out my spirit upon all men and flesh. They'll be able to prophesy. And then they'll dream dreams. So we are in times and seasons where God speaks to everyone. Did you know that God speaks to people who are not born again?
Yes, he does. And his grace is upon them.
Exactly. He loves them because he's a God of grace. So even before you give your life to him, to Jesus, he has already. And he will speak to you. So I really encourage
what
everyone.
We call the voice.
Yes. And that voice, now, I know that is not today's topic. Maybe another time we can talk about the voice, because that's my area. But that voice, it speaketh through so many ways. You'll hear the instinct telling you, go and meet that person.
Yeah.
Go and see them. Go and check up on somebody. Even the least expected. It doesn't have to be those ones that have money. No. You can check up on somebody who doesn't have money. Now, there is this miracle that happened of the person, the Nigerian, who invested into the business. And I was that one there. This is how I met the person. Someone organizes a wedding meeting and nobody turns up. And then he says, Sarah, I want you to be the chairperson.
So you turned up?
I turned up.
People didn't turn up?
No. And I took on the leadership. And I said, I know you have no people supporting you, but I'm going to stand in this gap and we shall make things work. And for him, he didn't see things happening. So guess what? We go to the wedding venue, and 2 days I'm at the venue, walking around, seeing how things are going to be. So I meet the investor that come for a meeting from Nigeria to here, that flown for some government meetings and stuff. So he sees me and he's like, hello. I'm like, hi, how are you? So we talk. Not more than 10 minutes. The Lord told me, share your contact. And then we shared contacts. After 2 days, he calls me. Then I tell him, we have a meeting over there. It's a wedding meeting. Maybe I can see you. So I go. So we share, and we share business ideas. And he's like, I like your idea. So that was the first investor into this business, which I told you that I'm doing right now. So the guy goes back to Nigeria, and he keeps in touch. He's like, I came to Uganda, and I met so many people, but none of them had a mind like yours. So I would love to work with you. Tell me, how do we work? So we share. I may not share the details of our business meeting. And then he's like, okay. So we write some papers here and there. And boom, he transfers some money. Not too much, but it was able to help
at least
me
to
to
start
start.
you.
Exactly. So from something that seemed to be bad, that everyone had run away from.
A wedding meeting. You stuck around.
People are always running away from responsibility.
I know. No one wants to spend because they know responsibilities come with expenditure.
So I took on, and in that, while I was carrying on that meeting, the Lord taught me a lot of things. That meeting taught me so much concerning personal life, concerning the lives of men and women, concerning marriage. I learned a lot of things during that short time that the Lord entrusted me with that meeting. So he not only brought me that
investor
gift, but he also taught me so many things. And then I realized that,
you listened.
Yes, I listened to the voice of God. Go and help that person and stand in the gap. And then the lessons again I've learned is that not every time you must be available for everyone.
Yes.
No. Because there are places I've gone to and I've burnt my fingers.
Yeah.
In the process of wanting to be good to people, they burnt me. Or the fires have come back to me. So it comes back to the same thing, that can we listen clearly to the voice of God? What is God telling you at that particular moment? Because you'll either hear the instinct or the voice, or you will dream, or if someone will come and speak to you, or a friend will share with you something, or God will tell you, go to this place. I am going to do this and that. Now, if we go back to nowadays, because now I'm more into preaching now, I can take you back to my first testimony to ministry, where it comes back to listening to the voice of God. I was going through turmoil again, and I was walking along the streets of Kampala. And while I was walking there, a voice came to me and it told me, I want you to go to Christ the King. Christ the King is a Catholic church, and I was once a Catholic, and then I'm now born again. So I'm like, really? Christ the King? He's like, yes, go there. So I listen to the voice, and I go. And I'm praying, and I'm sobbing, and I'm crying, God, how am I going to come out of this situation? So a gentleman comes to me and says, I heard the Lord tell me, go and speak to this lady. That he was at his office, then the Lord told him, go to Christ the King in this corner. There is a lady, she's putting on this and that. I'm going to give you a message for her. So when he comes, he meets me, and he gives me a message of over 2 hours. The Lord said, ABCD, he has seen this and that and this about you. And he says, within a period of 3 months, this is going to happen. I look at the man, I'm like, are you not among the thieves who come stealing people's phones? Actually, I got my bag and
Held it tight.
Yes, I made sure my phone was in, everything was. So he kept on talking to me. I looked at him and said, I think he's genuine. So I picked up my phone and I began to record him, to record the message so that
You
if
don't
he's
forget
genuine, maybe God is speaking.
Mm.
And then I record the message. And I want to tell you, the message that guy told me, it has led me for all these years. And everything that has been happening it is as the man prophesied to me.
Wow.
He was not a man of God. He was not a prophet.
He was a normal person.
A normal being, putting on sandals, looking weird actually. Not putting on like these people that are filming us here. No, very disorganized. It takes grace to listen to the word of God.
And humility.
Yeah, a lot.
Wow. I don't know where to go from this, because it seems like we're just getting into the juicier moments. But believe me, we're going to get more time, and we'll be talking about how to listen to the voice of God, because in this generation where everything is camouflaging as good, and where we have so many notifications, we have so many voices that are around us, and so many of those voices are voices that tell you go kill yourself, voices that tell you give up, voices that tell you people are not good, voices that tell you. But again, God will use people to bless you, just like the devil will use people to also shut you down and pull you down, but God will still use people. So I hope that you can keep your heart open to the voice of God, to God using people to actually help you out, and also to just be resilient, to pray. These are moments where your mindset has to be changed, your prayers have to be changed, and you cannot just stay in your comfort zone and hope everything is going to work itself up. Remember, one thing that we are working towards is hope, and everything that we are living with you today is hope. We love you. God bless you.